Celzo introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning, fellow Meninaks and guests. You're in for another treat as we hear from Steve Livingstone, the Jacksonville's and North American Soccer League's newest professional sports team, the Jacksonville Armada Football Club. Steve came on board as its first employee in 2013 following 17 years of leadership in the National Football League, the last 8 of which he spent directing in the areas of business development, sales, and marketing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prior to immigrating to Jacksonville in 2005 from Scotland, Steve was a team president and general manager of the Scottish Claymores in the NFL Europe League, where he attracted more partnerships for the NFL and grew the team's fan base and attendance from 6,000 to more than 20,000 fans. Today, Steve has built the Armada Football Club from front office from scratch and directed a successful brand and competitive launch of the club, which debuted in front of 14,000 people against the Philadelphia Union at Everbank Field on February 7, 2015. Please make sure you check out his full bio placed on your table and read about the successes he had with the Scottish Claymores and his earlier years spent as a successful sports writer and editor. Please give a warm welcome to Steve Livingstone.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for that lovely introduction as well. To speak to such an illustrious group as yourselves, we're really excited at the Armada. And I've got a little presentation I want to make. If it gets too long, just wave and I'll stop. Fortunately, this one does not come with subtitles, so you're going to have to follow along, I'm afraid. And if I get too fast, which I tend to do, being Scottish and excitable, I have a translator here, so all good. Thank you. All right. So in case you don't know, this is Scotland. This is my homeland. And I come from the largest city in Scotland, Glasgow, which is down in what we call the Central Belt in Scotland. Has a population of about 2 million, and it's vastly growing and will at one point probably touch Edinburgh, and the two cities will come together as a huge kind of metropolis. There's 5 million people in Scotland alone. This is probably your idea of what we look like in Scotland. And you know, I want to just come here today and say that that's not what we look like. That was obviously a long time ago. Unless, of course, we are playing in a soccer match. This is my family, my wife, my 2 daughters, Erin and Olivia, who were both born in Scotland. And that was shortly before the USA annihilated Scotland 5-1 in the match here in Jacksonville a couple of years ago, which 44,000 people showed up for. And that's what really kicked off my whole involvement with soccer here. I began my career in soccer in the media side of things, covering the Scottish Football Association, the English Premier League, the Champions League, the World Cup. I grew up in Glasgow, as I've mentioned before. The team I rooted for in Glasgow was Glasgow Celtic, which was about 10 minutes away from my home. They have 3 stadia in Glasgow and 2 teams. That's a bit odd, you might think. That's because the rivalry between Glasgow Celtic and Glasgow Rangers is so huge that they need an extra stadium to play matches on neutral territory. So we have 3 60,000 seat stadia in Glasgow to keep the 2 teams apart, which is interesting. And that doesn't even work. So there's a huge rivalry there. Obviously, soccer is something that is in everyone's blood from birth. People name their children after the starting 11 of their favourite soccer team, which makes for a long name.